Do you want to become a permanent part of the channel? Well, now you can check out the Alliteration Gaming Patreon. Here, you're going to find different tiers that all let you get involved in my videos, as well as provide you some shoutouts, exclusive Discord access, and the ability to see my content early and ad-free. And if you're new here, you're going to need an account on the UGN site to sign up for events, locate stores, and of course, accrue points to redeem for free cards in the mail. Signing up with my exclusive referral code Alliteration is going to start you off with 50 bonus points, as well as support my work in the process. Regardless of how you help me out, thanks so much. I really appreciate your support. Now let's get on to the video. My dear viewers, hello, good evening. Welcome to another Alliteration Gaming video. My name's Levi and it is time for Wealthy Aspirations. Now I sound surprised because you might be too. Last week we didn't do any Wealthy Aspirations because it was a little sequence of events. Wednesday, I just got way too caught up with Jasco things before the Wednesday webcam weekly, and then I was going to make it the next day, Thursday, because I was like, screw the schedule, we'll just make it anyway. And then I looked at the market, and there was just literally nothing going on. Like, I literally popped up Vile Season here, was like, this is gonna be crazy, and then popped up dual needle lunges and this is gonna be crazy, and then I looked for anything else and literally couldn't find a thing. And honestly, coming back in this week, it was almost the exact same thing, but it felt weirder to not make a video, so instead we're gonna just do like a very like, there's like a couple slightly interesting things going on, but for the most part this is gonna be like a very, I guess, kind of like backtrack Wealthy Aspirations. Again, you know, nothing I can control, right? The market is just not moving too terribly. So to look at set 4 here, I'm looking at Vile Season, and we are going to talk about Dual Needle Lunge as well. But Vile Season, like, these two were fighting for a while. Like, Dual Needle was coming for Vile Season's neck when it comes to the big number, but Vile is definitely solidifying itself as the big boy on campus now, selling really consistently for like $35, $40. You know, one even for 50 right here. Maybe that's real, maybe it's not, who knows? But either way, this one just kind of keeps going nuttier and nuttier, and it's holding its like $40-ish range really strong, and this is kind of the one to look out for. And then if you look at Dual Needle Lunge here, Dual Needle Lunge is like $13, but also after that one goes, there's a $16 one, a $16 one, and then they're like 20s onward. So this one definitely still is like ready to be 20-25 bucks, I think, at the drop of a hat. It's kind of only a matter of time, really. And while we haven't really seen it like historically sell for those numbers very much in the past, it's reached that number. Like, it's been bought to that number many times, and then people just keep restocking with it lower. But eventually there's going to be some kind of end to that run, right? Eventually people will start going, maybe we don't have to just keep putting these back in stock at like 12-15 bucks, you know, maybe, you know, we'll test the Vile Season style waters and see if people are really actually into that. Next up, I want to check out a couple XRs actually from set 4 that are kind of topically relevant, and that's Final Smash and Ultimate Combination. These are really crazy, and they kind of have been since day one. I remember like one of the first things listed for set 4's XRs on like pre-release day was like an $80 Ultimate Combination or something. And now Combination is weird because you can see that they've been selling for like $8 in the last like week or so, and then they were selling for like $5 way back in March, but then they were also selling for $30 way back at like the end of March, and then now they're back into this like super weird territory. And then Final Smash is also kind of seen a very similar thing. You know, it was like it was more of a solid 20 back in the day, and then it just slowly went more and more up, and really there's just not much sales data on in general because people just aren't really selling these very much. I've been selling a bunch of them for like $30-$35, and then the last few that we have here on TCG are like $40-$50, and it's like these are really wild. And these are an interesting, like the reason why they're kind of interestingly relevant to me right now is because they're the one-ofs in the starter deck. So getting one of these cards already, like you have to kind of treat this already as like a $20-ish card, depending on how you think about it, right? Because you have to buy like this $40-ish starter deck to actually get both, or even if you just want one, even if you can find a cheaper starter deck, if you only want that one, it's still very much like only getting that one, right? The price barrier for these on a dual deck as a one-of is really high. You kind of have to think of these as like, you know, I always like to think of these as like ultra rares in a sense. They're like $20 ultra rares basically. And so when you think of it as an XR, that price makes a lot more sense. And the reason that's super relevant is because the starter decks are getting rid of their 1-ofs. The 1-ofs are going to become 2-ofs now. So I don't think that we're going to see, for example, the 1-ofs in the Mirio and the Overhaul decks act like this in the slightest. And I thought that was just kind of something interesting to think about when it comes to like the future of the market, is that the starter deck 1-ofs are going to start to get a lot less crazy, or at least their XRs will be, because for a lot of people, this is just the more intelligent way to obtain the card, right? Like if like back when Final Smashes were at like $20 for the XR, I would just buy the XR instead of buying the rival deck, unless I was just someone who wanted, everything in the rival deck multiple times, right? But for the most part, that's not most people in that camp. Most people are just like, yeah, I just want some Final Smashes for this random deck I'm making. And I literally did the exact same thing. I was like, I don't want to buy 3 rival decks to get my Final Smashes. Hey, who wants to sell me Final Smash XRs for like $25-30, right? And that's exactly what I did. Next up, let's make our way into set 3 and actually look at two interesting little new things going on. And that's the XRs of Friend of Animals and Command Pigeon Flock. Command Pigeon Flock is gone, and in like the last week or so, we've seen a bunch of them sell for like $4, which is about double what they were in the past. Not a lot, but still, interesting to note of. And there's only a few Friend of Animals here, so I don't particularly know what this means. There's been some pretty spicy ally foundations shown off so far. Nejire has an ally foundation that is very, very, very wicked. Does the dumb Missouri Smash things. There's some cool stuff going on. Maybe people are cooking up some really, really spicy ally engine decks and just getting these nice looking XRs ready there. Next up, struggling with studies. This is one that I used to talk about like every single week back in the old format, but it's once again nearing the edge of the bridge here. Struggling with Studies does this thing, guys, where it basically goes to like only a few left, and they're like at that $5 price point, and then they sell out, and then it stays sold out for like a week or so, and then someone relists like a few more of them at like $5 or so. It kind of does this song and dance, and at this point, it doesn't look like this song and dance will ever end, but it also means that this is never like a bad price per se for them. Just wanted to keep an eye on in the event that you're sitting there. Maybe you're sitting there going, oh man, I do really want my XR Struggling with Studies, and these are the last ones left, and you're scared that it's going to get worse from here. I'm going to pick these bad boys up and just keep an eye on them in general. Going into this, we're going to do a lot of recapping here on a few set 1 things. Nitro went absolutely ballistic, as you can see, right around the time it dominated Florida with Ochako 2. Everyone was like, oh my god, Ochako 2 with Nitro, Death Furies, this is going to go sicko mode. And it was, skyrocketing around like $40-50, and it's kind of calmed down, but not really. There's like a lightly played one for like 34 here, and then they're in like the $37 range. So this one is still holding its like $40 price point pretty darn strong. I don't know if that means this is now like a reasonable price for them. It's really hard to think that. At that point, it might actually be worth buying a set 1 box. I don't know. You're still hoping to hit like this in Heatwave, right? But at the same time, just a very, very important price to be aware of. Again, I don't know if it's a good price by any means. If you can snap them up for less than this, I definitely would right now. If you can find someone trying to let go of some, but it's really hard to say, especially with like a new set on the horizon, how pivotal this card is still going to be towards like meta decks. But I don't know, the Fury package on especially like Death, but even kind of on Air and Fire, just doesn't look like it's ever getting any worse anytime soon, and this is just always going to be like a really hardcore staple of that group of attacks. In a similar vein, Texas Smash, the most staple of staple punch in the entire world. We talked about this one a while back, saying that it looked like it was etching near the $10 territory and could possibly want more. And that's definitely where it's continued to hold. It has not fallen down, kind of like how Meteor Shower did when it looked like it was going there. We've seen a lot sell for like $13, $14, especially super recently. People are really, really gearing up their punch decks for set 5. This is all of the Mirio players getting ready to send, low zone Texas Smashes like crazy and be an absolute nuisance. So these guys are just getting really, really, really
winding up. If you don't have these and you want to play Mirio or maybe even Midoriya 4, I actually don't even know if Midoriya 4 would play those, but just something to keep in mind if you're wanting to explore some punch territory, moving it to set 5, I would definitely start snapping these up around the $10 before they just get even worse and worse, because I think there's a world where they certainly can, especially as people are getting less hot on buying boxes. And then Home Run Comet is, I don't think we talked about this one. It became like $60 like a few weeks ago, and I don't know. I don't think that this is real. I don't think that this sales data is actually real. I think this is some fishy business going on here. Just my personal thoughts. But it still stands that there are a couple at like a $35, $40 range now, and they just get dumber and dumber from here. This is really, really funny. Hang on. PPG has a first ed for $37, and then they also have an unlimited listed for $80. That's actually hilarious. PPG, probably want to swap these two. I think is what you want to do. That's really funny. I'm actually glad that we covered this just to realize that. But this is when that kind of went crazy a while back, and now it's like, I mean, if you're sitting on these and you don't care about them, you could probably get way more than you should selling them right now. But I would never actually buy them at these prices unless you're just like, I don't know, unless you're like on some hardcore copium and you're really just trying to finish XRing out that deck. So let's check out some promos here, because they're kind of weird. I want to look at the extra credit cards for set 4, namely Enamored and Infinite Potential. These things are super cheap. These things are really, really cheap. Like, to compare them to the extra credits from before, like Released and Destined for Mainstream Success, the waifu ones, those were selling for like, $80, $100 and all kinds of craziness. And they tried to start at that range here, but now they've like the Enamoreds have completely settled at like 50, 60, and the Infinite Potentials are like barely even $30, man. And that's really, really crazy to see. Obviously, I know that like this card's not very good, and then this card is like a 0 that only Toga plays. Destined and Release were like hardcore staples on like all 3 of their symbols. So, like, there's certainly a difference there, but if anything, it also feels like a testament to just like, where people are kind of at on these right now. Like, unless they're like actually those hardcore staples, they're not actually here to shill out for the crazy waifu alt arts. And if you look at the other extra credit ones, they're all hovering around like $30, $40 too. Like, it's not particularly anything crazy. The point is that I think it's just a bit of a step down from the last extra credit promos, and something to be noteworthy of, especially as we keep getting these going forward, because it seems like they're really into the exclusive. They're really trying to push sealed play or limited play or whatever with these. See, I don't even know what it actually is. They're really trying to push that play with those. So I don't think these exclusive alt arts are going to stop anytime soon, but it definitely looks like people are I don't know, maybe a little more disenchanted when it comes to like actually destroying their credit cards for these. And then I just want to look at Valiant Assault. Valiant Assault has also been a bit of a crazy one lately, kind of floating around like $30. A lot of these have been selling for $30. I've seen them for 25s as well. It's been acting up. It's been acting up recently, and that's kind of the point. And then we have like one left by the based unfun stuff games for $20. After that, man, 35 all day, and that's really crazy. And I wouldn't be surprised if these start selling at this price too. Again, this is a very staple punch card on all 3 of these symbols. People aren't really playing air punches right now, but Mirio is probably going to change that. Mirio wants this card like crazy. Everyone's going to want to play Mirio in set 5. They're going to need this card right here. It's just going to be a wild one continuing to go forward, and it's a quirk pack card. It's one of 4 cards in a quirk pack in a set that people aren't super hot on opening anymore because the EV is way down. This card's going to be crazy. I actually think it's wild that this one has existed for $20 right here for any amount of time whatsoever. Picking these up for like anything like 25 and under for this card right now is honestly a steal, because like you just need this one. And like, for context, if you're trying to find the other ones, this is what the Red Horizon ones look like on TCG Player. Totally non-existent. Rochester CCG and Legendary Wolf Games websites might have some, so that could also affect, because like the old ones are legal. You can play the old ones, and so if you can hunt those down, more power to you. But I think that most people are in the the vein of, yeah, I guess these are just the ones that we need. And so that's gonna wrap up Wealthy Aspirations this week. Once again, guys, really not a lot to talk about. Like, things have just been super duper slow, like the last month or so, really. And honestly, even putting this one together today, with it felt kind of like a stretch. It felt like a bit of a reach for sure. But I didn't want to just leave you guys with nothing, because again, that just felt weirder. But do look forward. Probably tomorrow, I'm working on a video right now that's just kind of like an open discussion type of video, almost like a Wealthy Aspirations spin-off, like an open discussion video about why I think, you know, the secondary market is the way it is right now, why card prices aren't really moving, why they're staying like this, what they can hopefully do to improve this in the future with some really sick changes. I have a lot of ideas that I've kind of been talking about in the Wealthy Aspirations Discord channel on my server. I've kind of been sprinkling them here and there and getting a little bit of discussions going, and I feel like I really want to turn a lot of that into a video. So look forward to that coming out probably tomorrow. I'm going to release that. So, you know, if this isn't the Wealthy Aspirations content, this isn't the quality content that you feel like you're deserving, which again, I can't control the market, unfortunately. If I could make the market do things so that I have a hype video to make every week, man, that would be sick. Unfortunately, I'm not that powerful. But for the time being, this is our Wealthy Aspirations for today. But look forward to tomorrow for that video, kind of like a state of the market discussion. I think you guys who are really into these videos are gonna really like that video. For the time being though, that's all the time I have for today. Thank you for watching, and I hope I can see you in the next one.